causes me to be content, that brings me satisfaction. Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad. What is all of this telling me? That entering into the Word, finding my rest within the Word, requires something of me. That in order to receive all this, I have to do something. I have to make a statement. And the Shema Yisrael, I say, I understand. I perceive, I discern, I understand, I apply, I obey. I'm content that Elohim prevails, Yisrael. Elohim prevails in my life. Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Yehovah also means in everything that there is, everything that there was, and everything that there will be. And that He is Eloheinu, my mighty ruler, my king, my judge. From the root of Elohim, which means redeem, to redeem. It also means, it actually means, it means both ram, and it also means terebinth. So the ram, we find redemption in the ram, but in the terebinth tree, what's interesting about a terebinth tree within this root for Elohim? Terebinth tree. Where do we remember a terebinth tree? Within Bereshis.
I don't know what you're talking about. You said
Terebinth. Terebinth. Terebinth tree. If we go to Bereshis chapter 15, I think, Abraham was resting under the terebinth tree. He was resting. And what came to him while he was resting under the terebinth tree? The three visitors, one of which was a representation of the word of Elohim that spoke to him and told him. So in Elohim, not only does it mean our mighty ruler, our king, and our mighty judge, but it also is our mighty ruler and judge who brings us redemption and rest. Today, yesterday, tomorrow, in everything that there is, everything that there was, and everything that there will be. And Yehovah is Echad. Yehovah is Echad. We have the word Echad, which means one, but its numerical value is 13, which takes us back to both the word in Mashiach, that He is one. His name, in His name we have our King and our Judge, but in His name we receive the Word, His restoration, redemption, and deliverance in Yeshua. And we also receive His anointing in Mashiach. It all comes from Him, and He is one. So there's a whole lot in what we see in the 7th month. It tells us a whole lot more than simply the ark came to rest on the 7th month. What have we constructed so far? That we find our rest in the Torah. That we find renewal in the Torah. That all the benefits of having our relationship with our Elohim are ultimately depending on us taking a pledge, swearing, taking an oath. Okay? So we have, and the ark rested in the 7th month. Good, we've gotten past the first phrase of this verse. But now we get to mess with, and on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. So, on the 17th day of the month. And we might make it to the next verse. Everybody kind of get an understanding of how this process works?
I Oh, sure, yeah.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah, like we know the first time a letter's used and,
No problem.
yeah.
Actually-
and
Actually, yes, you do.
how do we,
Actually, you know exactly where the first time it's found as the root of a word. You also know the numerical value. You also know what its meaning is because within your Torah, in the very beginning, in page, I don't know what page it is.
that wouldn't have been,
Because somebody didn't mark the page numbers, I don't know who that was. We have the Aleph Beit. It says the numerical value and meanings of the Hebrew
Yes.
letters. We have the letter, numerical value, the meaning, first time used as a root of Torah. And then if you will turn the page, we have the gematria of all of the letters spelled out. So if you happen to come up to another word or another phrase that has the gematria of 111, 111, what is it going to take me to? Well, the gematria of 111 is, oh look, it's the Aleph. Something has to do with the Aleph within this word, within this verse. All words have gematrias. All phrases have gematrias. All verses have gematrias. We take, for example, Bereshit 1:1. It says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim va'et haaretz. Okay? In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. In Hebrew, it's 7 words. Always has been 7 words, always will be 7 words. 28 letters. Always has been 28 letters, always will be 28 letters. 28 spells the word koach, means power. It's the power of Elohim to bring forth. Is spoken in Bereshit 1:1. So we see that there's a gematria, numerical value in everything. Okay? So the 17th day, okay, we go back to, first of all, we're going to consider the 10th part of 17, okay, because we've already considered the 7th part of 17. The 7th part of 17 is going to be basically the same. It deals with taking an oath. It deals with finding our protection, our nourishment within the Word. It deals with being satisfied. That's what the 7th part of 17 means. But 10 is the word ashar. Okay? Ashar. Ashar, actually, I think it's one of those gizmos. Is it one of those gizmos? I can't even see. No, it's not one of those gizmos. It's this gizmo here, which turns this to an A. Ashar. Ashar means the 10th part. It can be rooted in a singular root that means tithe. Okay, the 10th part of something is the tithe. But we break it down into its primitive root that means to make, or to become wealthy. Did we talk about wealth a minute ago? Anybody remember back that far? Spiritual wealth. To make or become wealthy. That within our oath, within our entering into the heart of Elohim, within our finding our rest, it takes us from a state of spiritual poverty to a state of spiritual wealth. This is what we start to get in the idea of 17. But it says the 17th day. Okay? So in the day for Yom, there went that. Yom.
That's day.
Day. Okay.
Yom.
Let's let's back up to Asher right quick. Within the Hebrew letters itself, what can we draw from these spiritual letters, or from these Hebrew letters? We have perception. And then we have the resh, which is authority. What have we said that shin, in a sense, represents? We said the shin, if we look at our little guide, we have, it represents 2 points of view. Our point of view are Elohim, okay? So, to make or to become wealthy, is that dependent on perhaps our perception of our point of view? Whose authority are we taking a look at? We can depend on our point of view, we can perceive our point of view. And sure, our point of view can make us wealthy, it can make us physically wealthy. How many millionaires and movie stars and rock stars do we read about that have everything in the world and still commit suicide? Is there a difference between physical wealth and spiritual wealth?
Yes.
Okay? So, again, our perception of authority, whether it's our point of view or the point of view of Elohim, will also depend on what kind of wealth we end up with. So we move to Yom. Now, Yom means day, but it also means lifetime. It means more than simply a day. We use it for the word day, but it means lifetime. What did we say about the word rested?
Permanent.
It is a permanent thing. It is a rest that we find for our entire lives and beyond. We consider our lifetime to be, while we're flesh and blood things, we don't realize that our lifetime extends beyond the point of the grave. Okay? This rest is a permanent rest. Here, this is where we establish ultimately where that rest is going to be there. Whether we are going to find our rest in the presence of our Elohim, or whether we're going to be outside of the presence of Elohim. Okay? Whether we find our rest in the light, or ultimately whether we find our rest, or lack of rest, in the darkness. Because when we're not in the presence of Elohim, then the yearning of the spirit, the yearning of the soul, is going to burn to be in the presence of Elohim, but because of its decisions during its lifetime, will decide ultimately where it ends up. Okay? Not the fire and brimstone stuff, whether it's in the presence of Elohim or not in the presence of Elohim. So, lifetime. Again, we talk about, let's get to the next word. Okay, the 17th day of the month. Again, the word is, again, chodesh, which we've talked about chodesh. Means what? Its root, to renew, repair, restore. So what are we getting in the 17th day of the month? That ultimately it's our perception of whether it's Elohim's point of view or our point of view. Who are we making our oath to? That will depend on whether we become spiritually wealthy, physically wealthy, but it will also depend on the process of our renewal, repair, restoration. So the 17th day is an important thing for us to consider, because we come now to the idea of, wait a minute. Let's go back to 7th, because there's one more thing that we need to keep in mind, and it's in your books. If you will go in your Torahs, if you have them, go to the Hebrew calendar. You have a Hebrew calendar in the Torahs too, so no excuses as to I don't have a Hebrew calendar. You have it. Okay? Let's take a look at something. 7th month. Okay? 7th month. We have two sides to the calendar. We have a sacred and we have a civil calendar. Okay. The 7th month of the civil calendar, the 7th month of the civil calendar is Nisan, or also called Abib. What happens in Nisan and Abib? Okay. Okay. This is the right. This is the 7th month of the civil calendar. The first month of the sacred calendar is Nisan Abib. Okay? 7th month of the civil calendar is Nisan. First month of the sacred calendar is Nisan. Have I confused everybody?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, we have two calendars.
Yep.
there's
Okay.
noon and there's
Sacred calendar is going to be, the first month is going to be Nisan, but the 7th calendar is going to be, or the 7th month of the civil calendar is going to be Nisan Abib. The civil calendar, they would have recorded a death. They would have also recorded a birth, because the first month of the civil calendar, the first month of the civil calendar is Tishrei. What happens in Tishrei? Pesach, Pesach, and then we have Sukkot. It's the first month of the sacred calendar, or do I have that right? Yes.
7th month of the sacred is 7th month, and the first of the civil.
So, I'm sorry, this is backwards. First month of the civil, first month is Tishrei. Okay? This is the 7th month of the sacred. What happens? We record births. Tishrei, Sukkot, what happens on the first month of the civil calendar? Yeshua is born. Okay? The 7th month of the sacred calendar is Tishrei. So within the 7th month, what are we seeing?
His birth, Yeshua's birth.
We're
and
seeing
death.
his birth and his death. That the word, our redemption came, and that the price was paid. Okay? This is kind of confusing. It's in here. I get confused with it. I had one pastor that taught that Sukkot and Passover were in the same month because he didn't quite understand that there's two calendars that we're dealing with. So something else I wanted to throw in there that is something else that we think about. When we say 7th month, let's literally take a look at, okay, we have it marked out here in our information pages in the Torah, in this Torah guide. Let's take a look and say, okay, what is that month? What month does it correspond to? Because we can do the same thing with 10th. If we look at the 10th month in Teenth, let me go back over there to that page. There it is. We also looked at it is, the 10th month is Tevet, in which nothing happens, but it's also Tammuz, in which Jerusalem was under siege by Nebuchadnezzar before the first temple fell, and Tammuz, which was under siege before the second temple fell.